morning in your pocket. And this morning I thought I would talk about it a little bit more because we've had some more questions and just some more like refining, like what should we do? And oh, remember we're in the flight path, so it's gonna get loud here for a minute. It's loud, but it's kind of cool at the same time. We actually really like living here. There it goes. So the questions that I got that I thought I would address were, you know, what do you do if you're a brand new mom and you're sitting with a nursing baby and you're pulling your phone out a lot? And what do you do if you're stuck at home and you don't have any other social interaction and you're using your phone a lot? So what sort of things can you do to sort of help yourself curtail that? And I do think that even though we get frustrated at dads, ladies, I think that we have a problem too. I think that we've probably in a lot of cases maybe got a bigger problem than dad. You know, dad may have his gaming, dad may be online doing whatever it is that he's doing, and that may really frustrate us. But sometimes those things are a real big mirror for us. And if we can see it as that and use it as an opportunity to look at our own usage, I think that that's super important. So say you just had a brand new baby. One of the things that I loved, and all of mine are weaned and not nursing anymore. So one of the things that I did was I always had a great rocking chair. And I always had a stack of books next to the rocking chair. Stack for my child, or children that were, that were older, and sort of then some books for myself. So the books for myself were to keep me off my phone so that I could be, maybe I'm reading about lesson plans, or maybe I'm into a great novel, or try not to be into a great novel, because if you've got other kids around, then it's going to sort of make you not hold the space. So if you're trying to sort of hold the space from your nursing throne, which is what I used to call it, my nursing throne, if you're trying to hold the space from your nursing throne, then you want to make sure that you have enough things there to be able to sort of hold court in your nursing throne. So, I tried to have a table on each side, or a table at least on one side that had, a book for myself that was light enough that I could still hold court while I'm reading the book, and then some books for my kids. And that way, and as they got older, it was, maybe a chapter book that I was reading with them. Also tried to have handwork there, which is hard to do handwork while you're nursing, I know. I found some really great ways. I put the baby in the sling, cinch the sling up, and then I could still knit. Necessity is sort of the mother of all invention. So you have those sorts of things in mind in your sort of nursing throne. That's super helpful. And if you have really busy little ones that you're trying to keep busy while you're nursing this baby, think about that. If I could go back now, I would have had an oil diffuser right there next to me that I could turn on as soon as I sat down, pre-filled, all ready to go, so that everybody around me could have sort of this Zen experience and slow down. I would have kept maybe some Play-Doh or something that was only for that time that I was sitting there nursing for that next child, because I think it's super helpful for that next child to have something to do. So those are the things that I would do to keep you off your phone while you're maybe sitting there and nursing a baby. I get so many PMs from moms that are like, I'm sitting here nursing the baby. And honestly, I want to know what the rest of your kids are doing. So I want you to not feel pulled away, because you will never, ever, ever be able to hold the space and be on your phone. Ever. 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 So if you're trying to hold the space right now and you're watching, I know it's 6 o'clock in California, but I know it's not 6 o'clock in New York, and I know it's not 6 o'clock in London. So this video will be up. So just stop watching and watch it later. But try putting your phone away and just see how much better holding the space is. Try not being on Facebook all day long. Try, not going, oh, I have this question, better go ask it right now. I talk to so many moms, and they say the way I stay off Facebook is I'll keep a notepad or a whiteboard board in my kitchen, and when I have one of those questions that I want to run to Facebook for, I'll write it there, and then I'll sort of ponder it all day long. And then when I have my computer time at night, or when kids are down for a nap, that's when I'll ask it. So it's not frantic. So many posts that I see on Facebook are like, frantic. I'm at my wit's end. What am I going to do with these kids? Don't post during those times. Just, just sort of step back from it. Take a deep breath. Write down your question. Breathe through it. And if you're having one of those, like, I don't know what I'm going to do with these kids moments, you just got to step back. Maybe you need to go stand outside in the grass, put your feet in the grass, barefooted. Take a deep breath. Maybe you need to get some oils on you. Maybe you need to take some herbs. Maybe you need to go get some ice cream. Maybe you need to go to the park. But don't use it as an excuse to go, I'm going to get on my phone. I'm going to hop on Facebook and ask these other moms what I should do with my crazy child. Stop. Just stop. You have it within you. Just take a deep breath. It will be okay. You'll be able to make it to nap time. You'll be able to make it to bedtime. One of my favorite tricks, remember I got 5 kids, one of my favorite tricks is to throw everybody in the car, and even if they don't have shoes on, just get your butt in the car, and we're going to go for a drive. And I'll put on a Sparkle Story or some music that they like, and then when they start to sort of lower their level and start to calm down, then you can start to calm down. Maybe the loud and noisiest ones will fall asleep. When that happened, I pulled over and I would tell the older ones, I'm so glad you have a book in the car. Because I'm a huge on bring a book in the car. And if they get car sick, I say, at least have the book in the car for when we're sitting still. So for the older ones, if the noisiest one, the one that was up in my grill the most, went to sleep, I would just pull over the car and tell the older ones, I'm going to take a 10-minute nap. And I would take a nap, and they would read their books. And my rule is, everybody stays buckled. You stay in your seat, and everything will be fine. So, sort of establishing things like that, rules, systems, so that when you're having like one of those days where your eyes are like this and you're freaking out, you have something to do. The other thing we did when my big kids were little, we lived right like 2 blocks from a park. And I would just say, let's go. Let's go. Because most of the time what would happen is we would cross the big busy street, and then they would just run to the park. And I could see them all the way to the park, and I could go, I don't have to talk to somebody little for the next, 5 minutes as I'm getting to the park. And by the time I get to the park, either there's another mom there, and I'm kind of weird. I liked it when there wasn't another mom there, so I could just sit down at that picnic table or sit down on my blanket that I brought and just take a deep breath in and let them run and be crazy. Because when they're little, and I'm talking about under 9, if your oldest is 9 and you're talking all the way down, those are hard years. And so you really have to come up with some great coping mechanisms. Now, if you are, it's summertime here in the Northern Hemisphere, in the Southern Hemisphere, I neglect you guys a lot, I'm sorry. My condolences, because you're about to go through winter. So if you like winter, then great. I'm excited for you. If you're not a huge winter fan, I'm sorry. Come up with some great things that you can do during the winter. When we lived in frigid Idaho, where I sort of joke that we lived on Hoth, for my Star Wars friends, because it was cold there almost 9 months out of the year. And so I had a lot of coping to come up with so that I could figure out what we were going to do with these kids during those winters. And they spent their youngest years there. We didn't leave Idaho until, Ellie was 9. And so actually she was 10, I think. So we were there for those years. And so my coping was we had really good winter gear. And they were outside all the time, even when it was frigid cold. The only time that it wasn't is that, it can be 10 below, 20 below, and you can still go outside. The only time we didn't is when maybe the wind was really blowing and it made the wind chill even worse. But we lived, in January in southeast Idaho, it would get to 30 below. And that's not a fun time. I don't like it. I'd much rather have my palm trees and my sunshine. People ask me, why'd you move to California? I go, it's really a no-brainer for me. So, if you're there and you like winter, then that's your great time to knit. That's your great time to have, those things. One of the things, because I am kind of like awesome clothing junkie. One of the things I loved was really good woolens, and they're super expensive, But, sort of, if you buy them for the oldest child, then they start to go down for each child. So then they become hand-me-downs, and eventually you're just buying some for the oldest one. But we had good woolens, and everybody was comfy and warm. And we didn't have those for a long time. Sorry, school bus. Can't believe kids are still in school. So crazy. We didn't have those for a long time. We just had, the regular long johns, and those work great too. But when I discovered woolens, I was like, whoa, this is like a whole new world. And so the kids were able to stay outside longer. And there were years that they didn't even have like winter coats like you would think of, that you see like mainstream winter coats, because they would have their woolens on top and bottom, and then they would have a big wool sweater on that I made, and then maybe another wool sweater on, and a scarf and a hat that I made, and it was great. They were golden. So if you're looking at winter and what you're going to do with them during the winter, just come up with some good coping stuff. And I sent them outside. I would have 2, 4, and 6 ages, and they went outside. And I would sometimes go out there with them, and sometimes I would stand at the door, wave, make sure nobody dies, just, have a good time. Don't beat your brother up with that snowball. That's not kind. And then be ready to welcome them in with some hot chocolate or something warm when they come in. So if you're sort of in that spot and you're like, lady, it's winter here, what am I going to do? Well, those are the things that you do. You come up with those coping skills. I find the biggest part of all of this parenting game is to think ahead and to think about, what am I going to do when that happens? What am I going to do when I have that nursing baby and these busy kids around me? What am I going to do when it's cold outside? What am I going to do when it's, on the flip side, 120 degrees? Eric spent a good deal of time in Yuma, Arizona, and he said there was just like a whole month when they didn't go outside. That would drive me crazy. So I would be like, all right, what are we going to do if we're not going to go outside? And do things so that you can keep your kids busy and keep yourself sane. And, have the self-care that you need. But put your phone away. Just put it away. So like today is usually, because it's summer, I usually have been working on Mondays. But Eric's going to work today. And going to check out a job that he's working on. And so excited for him. Back into what he loves to do. And so he's going, and kids and I are going to be home. We'll be chilling. You're probably not going to see me a whole lot online, because I'm here with my kids. And that's where I want to be. That's what I chose. And that's one thing that I remind myself when I go, oh, I got so much to do. I chose this. You chose this. You chose to be here with them. So be with them. And I know it's not fun. There are some days that are not pretty, and they're sad, and they're struggling, and you're angry, and maybe you're fighting some depression off. You really wish you could get out and be with other moms. Those are the years when I really learned to turn within and really learn to figure out not just my relationship with God, but my relationship with Melisa, and sort of like the God within me, that source that emanates from me, because it doesn't want to be angry. And I know that's easy for me to say. Sort of on the flip side, I know I'm an old lady, and if I had said those words to me when I was trudging through my 20s and early 30s, I'd have been like, you're nuts. But take it from me, if you can get to that place now, you'll be leaps and bounds ahead of the game by the time you're my age. You'll be at such peace. There are so many things now that would have made me so angry even like 5 years ago. I go, that's not worth my time. It's not worth my energy. Just don't be angry. Just walk on. And when your kids are crazy, and mine are, like, hello, Soraya, I love her. She's so busy. So busy. You should have your children when you're young. I am 42 years old, and I have a 5-year-old. Wow. And she's a busy 5-year-old who's got SPD stuff going on. And yesterday, we have these days sometimes when I go, oh, it's a sensory day. There are days when I go, oh, you can't even tell she's got sensory stuff going on. It's great. It's awesome. And I remember those days with autism and Harry. And I remember thinking, oh, we've kicked some stuff. Then yesterday, she pinched me all day long. She beat me up, told it's time to go to bed. So, you know what? Those are great days too, because I love her so much. And she provides me with the inner work that I wouldn't get if I didn't have her. So, if you're in that spot with kids and you're struggling at home because you've got some really busy kids on the spectrum, come up with solutions that you can use. Like I said, the park was huge for Harry when he was going through those years. I would say the years between 6 and 9 for him were probably the hardest. When he was littler, it was easier to just let him run. But, you know, the older 6 and 9 was really hard. So we did a lot of, you're running. We're going to the park and you're running. And so we were blessed to live next to that park. And even when we weren't, even when we moved, I would get in the car and I'd say, we're going. And we would find other parks that had big tracks around them. And I'd say, we're playing on the playground, but until we're not going to do that right away. First, we're running the track. And we'd walk the track and they'd run the track. Because, you know, the kids can't walk. They got to run everything. Or they got to take their bike or something. So find solutions that really help you and work for you. And put your phone away. So I love you all. Thanks for watching. Melisa Nielsen of Waldorf Essentials. Have a wonderful day. Bye now.